Hello everyone and welcome to another fly tying session. As always, I'm Daniel and today we're going to tie a zonker fly. Zonkers are magnificent flies because they are very lively. They have a really nice movement in the water, and we've done a lot of things to add to this movement in this particular pattern. Here we have some rubber legs as well that have a move on their own. We have a bead up in the front that's also very fluorescent to make it to give this fly kind of this jigging effect in the water. And of course the zonker wing here just adds a ton of life. So this is a highly fluorescent, highly cool thing that has a profile of a baitfish, but just in some really strong colors. So perfect for murky water, perfect for winter fishing. We use this a lot for coastal sea trout, but I'm sure that this fly will work splendidly for big brown trouts in streams and in lakes as well. It has all the best properties that we know of to give it life, to attract fish, and it produces and have produced very well for us. So now we're going to tie this fly. It's called the Sea of Flames. Well, enjoy. Here goes. At the hook, and I add a 4mm bead in fluorescent pink to give it a bouncy effect in the water, but also to get it to fish the second it hits the water. Give it a bit of bounce, which can be a very good idea for a lot of things. We're gonna stop right where the right above the hook point. That's a good kind of benchmark to keep. Then we're gonna take some of this mylar tubing, which is one of the coolest materials for bodies. And it's available in just a ton of different colors, and it just looks nice on many flies. Inside this there are some lining. And this can actually be used as quite a lot of different dubbings, and if you taper it, it can even be used as wings and stuff. But what we're going to use it for is basically we're going to pull it apart, and then we're going to use it as a dubbing here to make sure that inside of the actual body there's not going to be too much space, because if there were too much space there, it would be easier for the trouts to get their teeth attached to the actual fly. And also this would mean that it would be easier for them to actually tear the fly apart. I've seen that with the types of flies like this a lot of times, where actually the one deciding factor in regards to how long the lifespan is of your fly is actually if you did this or not, because the trout's teeth will tear it apart. As you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm leaving a little room up here, and this is basically because when tying down the zonker strip, that takes up quite a lot of space, and in order to have enough room for the hackle as well, that's going to be of rabbit as well, we need to have a bit of space. So basically, leave 2 or 3 millimeters between the bead and where you tie down all this filler material. Moving the tying thread back, and now we also have a pretty sound and thicker base for ensuring that the mylar has something to latch onto. Then I'm going to take the mylar here, get it in between the strands of this woven material, and then just apply a lot of thread, but also a lot of force, because this is a quite slick material. So in order to make sure that it stays in place, this is the way to do it. And basically now we have the tail of the fly here, made from this mylar, that is both fluorescent, it's also flashy, and it's also glow in the dark actually. So if you want to fish this at night, you can get it to glow in the dark by simply just shining a torch, putting a torch to it. Not a literal torch with real fire, but you know, you know what I mean. There we go. And then we need to take the barred zonker here. We have some pretty cool zonker in the shop that's called A grade. It's something that I don't think it's going to be in the shop forever, regretfully, but we got a good deal on a lot of this. So we have some really awesome colors of this at a really sharp price right now. So if you're looking for the perfect rabbit zonker in some awesome barred colors, then the A grade zonker strip is the way to go. Now what we need to do is basically first off to cut this so it tapers just slightly here in the tip. And I'm going to do that by holding it up like this and then just nipping off almost only the actual leather, so I get this small taper here. Then I'm going to take a dubbing needle, and we don't want, because the rabbit here is fairly long, then we don't want this to be too long. So I'm going to take my dubbing needle and then I'm going to fold some of the materials back, apply a bit of saliva, fold this back, and then I'm going to look at this to see if I got all the hairs. I almost got all the hairs. So I get a piece of the skin here, where there is a straight line between where the front part of this starts and the tail ends, like that. Then I place this on top, right where I tied down the other stuff. And then tie this down right there. Again, apply a lot of pressure. And when the fly is done, what I normally do to make this as strong and durable as possible is I give this spot right here, give that some sabagap, but also give the body of the fly some sabagap in order for it to last longer. Also last longer in regards to the thing I said before about the teeth of the trout. Made a whip finish, cutting off the thread. I fold the zonker back here, and then I pull as strong as I can in the mylar to make sure that the body here is as tight as possible. Take the thread and hold it in my teeth to be able to keep the pressure up on the actual body. Otherwise you would get a body that was kind of thick and also bulged a bit more, making it easier for the trout's teeth to actually rip it apart. And we do not want that. We want this to last to, let's say, 10 or 15 or 20 sea trouts or whatever, rainbows. Making sure that I have tied the mylar really down strongly, because otherwise I'm sure that this will not slip out when I cut the mylar strands that was up in front here. When I cut these off, that they do not go anywhere, because that would ruin the fly and we would have to start completely over. There we go. There we go. Moving the tying thread a bit further back. So you can see this is where the spot I made before, without any of the dubbing we used to as a filler, is not there. And I fold all of this back, pull at the zonker here, and then I hold everything in place, and then I tie on top of every single one of the hairs. I make 2 turns of the tying thread before I apply some pressure, because then I know everything will be at the right spot on top here, and this way you get all the actual hairs, and you get all the tapering all the way to your tying down point. Make sure that you have applied enough pressure here that your wing is fastened securely before you cut away all of the zonker. There we go. So basically just cutting away the first part, and then I take my scissor and I cut away as much as possible in between the bead and the wing. So I need to remove all of this to have the perfect base for the actual the actual rabbit hackle, the hackle made from hairs. There we go. Well, as you can see now, it doesn't look that elegant just now, but trust me, it will in a second or two. Then I'm going to take a fluorescent pair of rubber legs. These are actually also glow in the dark. Again, if you're doing something, why not do it 100%? Take my legs, apply them to the thread so I can pull them into the right position. There we go. That was legs on one side, and then the same thing on the other side. This needs to be, and these are too long, but I'm gonna trim them in the right length as soon as I've done with the hackle. Then I make a dubbing loop. And then basically now it's time for basically the most difficult of this entire pattern. And this technique is really awesome. It works magnificently, and it just looks awesome on any type of fly. If you're doing a hackle of rabbit, then it's just an amazing thing. And you can do this with a lot of different things, but with rabbit it looks particularly great. Basically what I do is I take another piece of the rabbit, around the same size as the zonker wing, and then I take my my dubbing clamp. You can get these from Stunfo and from a lot of different manufacturers. But what basically you do is you prepare the actual rabbit, and then you take the clamp here. Then you make sure you have all the hairs inside of the clamp. Like this. Well, I got almost all of it. I got more than enough for the hackle. And then you cut it off the actual zonker. So you have it now inside. Just gonna remove some of this out here. And now you can manipulate it, because this is too long. So I'm basically gonna focus it inside of the clamp, and I'm gonna pull it out. So it's gonna be shorter and shorter. And I mean, this about looks perfect. Just gonna move it a bit further out here. And you have complete control when it's inside your clamp. And then you can cut it off so you get exactly the length you want. And just to make this easier, you're gonna pull it out a bit more of the clamp. Like that. You're gonna take your dubbing needle, you're gonna hold your dubbing needle open with dubbing loop open with both fingers, and as soon as you have put it in there, you can just clamp down on this with your fingers. So what I do is I move the hairs inside of the dubbing loop. This is actually a little too long, so I'm gonna do exactly the same thing as I did before with the dubbing loop, just inside of my dubbing with the dubbing clamp. I'm just gonna do it inside of the loop now. It's very important that you get the hairs as close to the dubbing loop on the side that does not contain the actual hairs that are gonna be the hackle, because otherwise you will get a very woolly. So just really carefully, just push it. Don't, and as I said, this is the most tricky, most technical part of the fly. And it's really crucial to have a good set of scissors. So you can see it's very close on one side to the actual dubbing loop. Then I take my dubbing reel. And this requires a bit of practice, and you probably, because you need to keep this tight all the time, otherwise the hairs will fall out. But now you can see, as soon as I've spun this, I get a really nice woolly furry. This actually looks a lot like some sorts of caterpillars. But if you have too much sticking out on the other side than where the long hair was, you would get a very woolly center, and this is not what you want and what you need. Basically, start turning this. Hold your rubber legs backwards. Fold them back. Also fold the dubbing back. Like this, and then you move your, oh shit. Okay, I can save this. Like this. I'm gonna take my I saved it with my, for some reason it broke, but I saved it with my Hackle plier. I'm gonna fold this back, then I'm gonna hold the front legs back as well. I'm gonna tie in front of those, really close to the bead. Apply some pressure here. Pull all of this down. There we go. Then I'm gonna tie down the dubbing loop with my tying thread. There we go. Cut away the dubbing loop. Brush all of this with my dubbing needle, with my dubbing brush. Let's just finish the fly, so we're gonna do like this. And you don't need varnish for the actual finish of the fly, because not for this part, because the bead is going to protect it. And then you get this really awesome fur hackle here that is going to have just a ton of life, and it's going to look awesome in the water. It's going to look awesome on the fly, and you can just brush out the hairs here. Then we're going to look at the rubber legs. They're a bit too long. The front one should be the shortest one, and the longer one should be the back ones. So you can see how it looks from upside down. Otherwise, there we go. The Sea of Flames. So here you see the finished result, the Sea of Flames, with the rubber legs, the bead, and all these other things. As I said in the video, if you do it like I did in the video, it's not that difficult, but it takes a bit of getting used to, and it is a bit difficult to make this hackle of the hairs if you haven't done so already. But I urge you to try this out and to go forth and do it, because it's an awesome technique that can be applied to so many things. It looks perfect on all types of sea trout and salmon flies in particular as well, steelhead flies as well. I think this pattern actually would be really good for steelheads also. So basically, as always, you can find the full material kit to this fly and to all the other flies here on our YouTube channel at Nordic Anglers, which is the web shop that I run. Well, otherwise, I wish you all the best of luck out on the water, and just a humble request: if you haven't swung by Nordic Anglers, then it would mean so much for us if you did so. Just take a look around, see if what is. Check us out and see our absolutely amazing and huge selection of fly tying and fly fishing gear in general. So, thank you for watching, and all the best of luck to you out on the water. I guarantee you, if you tie some of these, they're gonna find you some fish.